Well, a very good morning and welcome to BCTV. Good morning, Uganda Extra. My name is Uganda Semakola Ziksoka. Welcome again today and thank you so much for choosing to be with us on this 10th of August in this year 2021. Another very lovely day. It is Tuesday and of course back to work for those who are actually working as we do our best to see how to actually manage. Remember, COVID is still with us and just mask up as much as you can. Wash your hands with water and soap, sanitize regularly, and of course whenever you are in public, make it a point to wear and to put on your mask and try as much as possible to also maintain a social distance. That's the only way we can disrupt the spread of COVID-19. Now back to GMU Extra today. Joining me in studios is Mr. Obal Daniel. Obal Daniel is a senior presidential AD in charge of youth affairs. He's with me here this morning. You're very welcome, Mr. Obal Daniel.
Thank you so much, my brother.
I am happy to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us and of course for being with us here today.
Thank you so much.
How's your life been?
All is well.
How are you managing with COVID-19?
Trying to follow the presidential guidelines, keeping safe as we wait for what comes our way. Yes, my brother.
At a personal level, how are you managing? It must be tough for everybody.
It is quite tough. Just the started life. Our life is not like it was before 2019. Work is difficult, socializing is difficult, but we realized the only way to remain alive is to try and live within these limits for now.
Okay. Yes, well, coming back to the issues here, we just want to ask a question that we want to hear answers from you. Can the youth find solutions to their own problems? Because being youthful in this country is very special. It's very lucrative. It causes lots of attention. Can the youth find solutions to their own problems? You are a senior presidential advisor in charge of youth affairs.
Thank you so much, my brother. And thank you for your question. One thing I always tell fellow young people is that there is no limit to what we can achieve. And there is no problem confronting us that we can't find solutions to them. So to answer your question, I think I would do so in the affirmative. Yes, we, the young people, are actually the solutions to the problems that are facing us.
What is the government doing to see that you actually solve the youth problem? Now, whenever you talk about youth, people talk about unemployment, people talk about all these sorts of bad things. Unemployment is the biggest thing. And we even do not know where the youth are and what they're supposed to be doing. There have been lots of government interventions in solving the youth problem, but that doesn't seem to be getting anywhere. What needs to be done?
Thank you so much for acknowledging that there has indeed been a lot of government interventions, especially aimed at improving on the status of the young people. And to say that these problems, these initiatives have failed 100% would be very wrong. I think these initiatives have tried to play their parts in mitigating and bridging the gaps of, for example, youth unemployment in Uganda. When we talk of the Youth Livelihood Fund, the Tandigwa, the Green Jobs, the Shanghai Model, and the various initiatives, presidential initiative, for example, in skilling the girl child, banana plantation, among others, there has been a deliberate political will to solve the far-reaching problems facing our young people, which is especially unemployment. The nature of these interventions has been to economically empower the young people. I loved it when the president introduced the initiative on skilling girl child, because the reason why unemployment remains the biggest challenge to the young population in Uganda is because annually our universities are producing about 40,000 graduates, and about only 8,000 of them end up being absorbed into our formal employment system. And it is good to note that the public service in Uganda may not be the biggest source of employment to our people. So because of our institutional problems in the schools and the universities, which have been producing graduates with skills that may not meet the demands of the market. It's the reason why unemployment remained a very big challenge in the country. But then I think the president got it right, that skills gap is the reason why this unemployment is continuing to touch our young people, which is why he introduced the initiative to skill the girl child, to skill the youth. I do believe that with this kind of intentional interventions on especially skilling our young population, we are going to fight unemployment in this country.
That's very important, and I think gleaning on your submission, Mr. Daniel here, yes, very important, but you'll also notice that as we speak today, you notice that we have more youth in many of the leadership positions. Let's get to politics itself. Now, we have had, for the last so many years, we've had youth representation in Parliament. We've had them there. We've had them there. Many of them have graduated from being youth representatives to representing their constituencies to even becoming ministers. Now, politically, we have all that. We have, away from even youth representatives in Parliament, we also have so many youth in Parliament as representatives of different constituencies. Go to local governments, go to the different sectors. We have quite a number of them. And when you look, generally, you see the youth in positions. What is this that we keep demanding and asking from government? Because when we talk about youth unemployment, when we talk about youth privileges, we forget that there is a youthful Daniel who is a minister. There's another youthful Daniel who is a member of parliament. There's another youthful Daniel who is a chairperson of a district. There's another youthful Daniel who is onto this particular committee. We tend to forget that. What is this that we really want government to do to answer the question on the youth?
Thank you, my brother. To the political side, it's true, I agree with you that, by the way, Uganda has one of the youngest parliament in the entire world, with the maximum representation of the young people. But you see, politics can either make or break country. Politics can either make an individual or break an individual. And personally, I participated in the general elections that just ended. I participated actually 2 times. First as a jury county member of parliament during the NRM primary election, and then later on as the Northern Youth MP aspirant.
A jury? Is that where Benson Oboa comes from?
Yes, I contested with Hamson, the minister.
Hamson,
yes.
The minister for sports.
Exactly.
Yes. For the NRM ticket.
For the NRM ticket.
Okay.
I lost to him, and then I went to Northern Uganda for the youth MP on independent ticket. But various stakeholders, including our good president himself, reached out, and in party cohesion, I had to tone down my candidature for youth MP. But you see, when I was running for that position, I had noted that some of the bottlenecks to our employment and development as young people exist in policy. The policy has a lot to do with how we get to where we want. Now, what happens basically is that some of these MPs, my brothers and sisters, who are young, when they get to parliament, they become misguided. I think they probably lose track, or they become very personal, or perhaps they fear to push in the focus and then the attributes of the young people. So that's why they contribute very little into policies that affect the young people. There is no doubt the young people in Uganda have been so much empowered politically. I think the government has tried to do its part. Like I told you, there is the political will to make sure that the problems of the young people are handled. But I think in regards to policy, and that is where the youthful members of parliament should play a very critical role, we need intentional policies that can create enabling environments for young people to strive in whatever they're doing. Very many young people are engaged in various SMEs, small and medium micro enterprises. They're trying to work, to create jobs for other young people. But then access to finance is a very big problem because the banks have a very huge interest rates. So the young people cannot borrow this money. What they require for securities, there are just a lot that a young person may not be able to provide, and so they cannot get access to funds that they so much need to develop the enterprises. So that's where perhaps government and the members of parliament should work so hard so that these financial institutions, the banks, are forced to offer various concession loans at very low interest so that we can support the young people who are already in production.
According to the Constitution of Uganda, 1995, as amended, it gives an age bracket of 18 to 30. Those are the people we categorize as youth. And now, for you to contest as a member of parliament on a youthful ticket, you have to be between 18 and 30. Now that's the constitutional youth. When we talk about the youth in this country, who do we actually target? Who do we talk about? Do we limit ourselves to the constitutional 18 to 30, or we broaden it to some other number? Because at 18, we expect you to be in school. 19, 20, 21, 22, they're about 23, majorly. Now you'll notice that if you're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and maybe 23, now that's 50% of the age in the Constitution is supposed to be in school. Now, when we talk about unemployment, we tend to again think for employment of the people who are supposed to be in schools. We expect you to be in university, we expect you to be at a high school or in high school. Now, then of course we have 24 and maybe 30, where we now think you are growing, you're getting into marriage, you're now, growing into working and doing all these things too. So when we are talking about the youth in this country, which is our scope? Are we limited to 18 and 30, or we broaden it to some other age? And if we grow it to some other age, which age is this that we're talking about? For us to be able to know how big the problem is and possibly what solution we need to have for these problems.
Thank you so much, my brother. When we talk about youth, we are referring to 18 up to 35.
Okay.
I think when you talk of stopping at 30, you are basically referring to the age acceptable perhaps for someone contesting into a youth position to be, and the idea is that by the time you're reaching 35, you are now graduating into an adult, and so you can no longer be a youth. So when we talk of these interventions for young people, the target is basically those from 18 up to 35, and you noted rightly that between 18 there up to 24, someone is still at school. It is basically down those beginning from 24 up to 35 that are forming a heap of this crisis. And then you see, after 35, because no one remains a youth forever, after 35, they graduate from being youth to adults. And some of them graduate with still all these challenges. So they transfer the challenges of youthhood to adulthood. And that's why we don't seem to be able to stop this for now. Yes, my brother.
Okay, let's talk about their capacity to be employed. We've seen youth getting big jobs in this country, landing into very big jobs. Now, when you talk about, when you extend it actually, which to me is very important and very good, if you extend it up to about 35, now you'll notice that there are people who have been given very good positions in this government, away from the political employment, away from the political appointments, but you've seen people getting into better or bigger jobs. Or even then, let me ask a very blunt question. Are the youth in this country also employable? Are they employable, that will give you a position at the age of 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and make you an executive director of one of the government parastatals, make you one of the EDs of one of these government, the departments and agencies? Are the youth up to that level? Can we trust a 35-year-old and say, you are the ED here, you are the MD here, you are the chairman here? Can we in this country?
I think the benchmark and the best way to judge whether you can trust them or not is to first give them, and which I know is being done. I do believe that growth and being a youth comes with a lot of challenges, and also the social change that our country and the young people experiences daily comes through with a lot of challenges. But those challenges notwithstanding, I believe that a young person, properly guided the right way, given position of responsibility, will definitely triumph. Yes, will do a great job. That's what I can say, really.
Okay.
Yes.
So you really think and feel they can be employed?
Yes, I believe the young people can be employed, especially now that the young people have personally, we have understood what our challenges are. And it is good that we are coming up to try to fight to mitigate the would-be adverse effects of these challenges. We know government has done its part, and government continues, by the way, to do its part. The president every now and then is thinking beyond the box, what else can we do as a country to support the young people? That is why right now we are so blessed with the parish model. That is shifting development and planning for development purposes back to the parishes. I think because the president understands that there has been problems of prioritizing, that these previous programs, the youth livelihood, they had been designed and the young people are being forced to fit into the design of those projects. And he has said, no, let us send these projects back to the parishes so that let the young people who are the biggest target of the parish model be the one to decide for what they want, so that we give them the finances to do exactly what they want, because the concerns of the young people in a Leptong district cannot be the same as the concerns of the young people here in Kampala. So I believe we're on the right track with the assistance of government. Very many young people have ventured into various innovative ideas. I see very many of them engaged in online sales, which has made life very easy. I think they now just need the support coming from government to try and make the working conditions favorable for them.
Okay.
Yes, my brother.
Government has tried to do lots of interventions, like I said. We've had the Youth Enterprise Scheme, yes. We've had BitVet, which has now, I think, changed to TVET. We've had the Youth Venture Capital Fund. We've had the Youth Livelihood Program. We have had now the Skilling the Girl Child, the Presidential Initiative on Skilling the Girl Child. We've had quite a number of these, all these. And I am thinking, if you were a member of parliament representing the youth in northern Uganda, or the youth in this country, as a member of parliament, what are these things that you would be doing for the youth? Because you had promises, you were telling these people certain things, and they looked at these things and said, we'll vote for Obal, we'll vote for so-and-so, we'll vote for so-and-so, and we have them. Now, after the 5 were there, 2026, we'll have another 5 youth. They are there, getting ready. After 2026, in 2031, we'll have another 5 youth who will come into parliament, and the process will continue. It will keep coming. Then one day, we can heap and pile all of them and say, from when we started having this representation to now, all these people who have gone through parliament as representatives of the youth in parliament. But with all these different government interventions, what more is expected to come from government, that when this particular project comes targeting the youth, we're sure that this time round we will have a critical mass of the youth who will say, here is our project, here is our thing, let's get into it. And we come to TV, we get to radio, we talk on radio, we get to social media to actually say, come and look at me, Obal here, I am a product of this government program, and here is where I am.
Thank you so much, my brother. I think I and you will make the best judgment of all these, especially when we shall be evaluating the success of the parish model. Because, like I told you, the parish model is a very unique kind of intervention that government is coming with, which is targeting the young people not only as beneficiaries, but as part and parcel of the implementers and then the designers of this concept. Now, when you talk of youth representation and what is it that this representation is doing for young people, trying to get the young people here and there, you know, I have also been studying law. So some of these things, we look at it even in the legal context and all that. When I was campaigning, for instance, for youth member of parliament, I noticed that one of the reasons why perhaps it's hard for these youth members of parliament to deliver is this is a one-term position. Someone will contest, someone is going to win, even if they serve you or not, they really don't care.
Because majority come when they're 26 and above.
Exactly.
Yeah, so you exit when you are 30, you're over 30.
Some come when they're 29. And the reasoning is, by the time that the next election is coming, they are going to the constituencies. So they don't need your vote anymore. Which calls for a big reform in the youth politics in this country, really. And then these youth MPs, they spend a lot of money to come to parliament. When we are contesting, each district has at least 40 delegates, and you're supposed to give them at least 40,000.
What for?
Facilitation, whenever you meet them. So, and these voters are over 400,000. These voters are over 400,000 in number. So, 200,000 in number. So, 200,000 voters, each of them, you're giving them about 40,000. That is just a lot of money that is invested in coming to parliament. So, these youth MPs, when they come to parliament, I think the first target is, let us see how we can recover the money we have spent. Let us pay off the loans. Most of them spend the entire 5 years running around, looking for money here and there to pay off the loans, looking for money here and there to establish themselves so that they can have enough time to begin working. They do not spend a lot of time articulating the issues that really take them to parliament.
Okay, well, it's just 9:30, and we're continuing that conversation here on Good Morning Uganda Extra in studios, of course, and talking about the youth affairs and asking a very bold question whether the youth can actually find a solution to their own problems. But we'll take a break and return shortly hereafter. My name is Jagan Asemakola Ziksoka. Let's come back.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Uganda, today is a great day to work towards your dreams. Dial *185 *7# and select savings to save as low as 500 Ugandan shillings on regular savings or 250,000 Ugandan shillings for fixed deposits. Airtel Money Super Saver is powered by KCB Bank Uganda. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless. T's and C's apply.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa only if we stay at home, observe physical distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly, or get vaccinated now.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Well, a very good morning. We continue with our discussion on GME Extra this morning. My name is Jagan Asemakola Ziksoka, and of course, I talk about youth affairs in this country and trying to find a solution from the youth themselves. With me here is Mr. Obal. What do you do?
I'm a lawyer.
Yes,
please.
You have a farm or so?
No, not really. In Uganda, by the way, we are yet to graduate. COVID-19 has affected everything. In Uganda, if you come out of law school, you don't immediately start a farm. You first begin by holding briefcase of a senior counsel as you get indoctrinated into the practice.
Okay.
So apart from that, I also run a very successful NGO, especially for young people, which is called the Youth in Business, trying to coordinate with other youth-led organizations to try and empower the young people economically.
Okay, how about at the National Youth Council? Are you a member? Are you a leader there? Are you anything with the youth here?
At the village level, yes, I am. You see, the membership of National Youth Council begins right from the village to the sub-counties, to the district, and then it comes to the region itself, and then to the National Youth Council. And I believe right now they are so much engaged with organizing for the Youth Day, which is after tomorrow.
So what other youth things do you do?
Apart from that, it's basically advocacy for the young people.
Okay.
Yes.
And how about being an aide to Excellency, President also?
Yes. I'm an aide to the President himself.
Okay.
Yes.
Officially?
Yes.
You employed by the president?
Yes, please.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I didn't know. I just saw it somewhere. And okay. Well, I just have a message here to say, please correct the title of Presidential AD, I think, on Youth Affairs.
Yes.
This message comes from a sub-office somewhere, and I don't know how you are actually an AD of the president, and well, but they're watching. Well, coming back to our issues, which is also very important to us, getting back to the issues here, we are still discussing and talking about youth issues and youth affairs. What do you think government needs to do going forward? Because, like I said, we think being youthful in this country is a privilege. We think being youthful in this country is it's an honor. It is something that we need to keep flashing here and about. Just like I said, now you've discussed the parish development model, which is coming on, and how much are you as the youth getting involved in the parish development model? Now, the parish development model is just one of those very many good programs that this government has put up, this government has had. How are you coming into the PDM? Are you coming in because you're youth and you're expecting something very special from that? Because the government has put up a model, it is there to develop everybody. How are you coming in, and what is in this thing for you as the youth?
I think the youth, and when you read the ministerial statement, the youth comes in as key players in the success of the parish development model. Right now, up to I think about November, October, the Ministry of Local Government, I believe I engaged with trying to talk to these parish leaders to try and constitute them to be ready to deliver. Beginning from October, I believe that is when the program will begin taking shape. As young people, we are coming in as beneficiary. As young people, we are coming in as those who are going to help to design these strategies and implementations. We are coming in to try and access the funds, the revolving funds under this model, to try and empower ourselves and the livelihoods of our families down there. Yes,
but of course, I want to say how you come in, because there were programs here that were designed for the youth, and I've listed a few of them. Because when you talk about the Youth Livelihood Fund, for example, that's predominantly youth. I know how successful it's been, but with the challenges therein. Now we have a parish development model, which is now not a youth affair, but it is for all of us. Now the PDM, Jagenda is involved at that level, Obal is involved, another person is involved. If we have not really benefited or gotten into the youth livelihood program, how do you think the youth are going to come into this thing now, which is for all of us at the parish level? Because that to me is very critical.
Okay, to answer your question, one of the greatest beneficiaries of the parish development model are the young people. It may not be directly tailored in to fit the young people, but the greatest beneficiary remain children, women, and youth. So we come in as part of the larger pool of beneficiaries, as part of the larger pool of the stakeholders who are going to help with the implementation of the parish development model. I think that is really where we come in as young people. Like I told you at the beginning, that the YLP, the Youth Livelihood Program, what really differentiates it from the parish model is basically that it was already designed and the young people are supposed to fit in. But for the parish development model, the young people are actually going to decide for themselves. We are going to decide for ourselves.
Decide? Because I think the program is already there designed. How are you going to decide? And I need to know, how are you going to decide in a model, of course, that was already set? It's starting its implementation
in October.
Yes, exactly.
What really happens is that through SACCOs and cooperative societies, government is going to make available money. It's going to make available money at parish levels. So the young people who have formed themselves, with the youth who have formed ourselves into these serving groups and then cooperative societies, will decide what we want to do. Once we have decided on what we want to do, we are going to access the fund. Because I think consultations have been made, and one of the critical interventions needed was financing. And so to the youth especially, the parish model is going to finance their activities, the various activities, that they may choose. Yes, please.
Well, that's important now. You know why I followed the launch of the Youth Livelihood Program? I followed it to the latter at the Ministry of Gender. And one thing I want to know is for example, there were issues with the Youth Venture, the Youth Capital Venture Fund, which was at KCCA. And they were saying, for you to benefit from this, you needed to have a trading license, you need to have this, you need to have collateral, you need to have all the things. And the simple argument was, how would you demand that from a Semakula who has just come from university? For example, I'm only 23 years, 24, 25, or 26. I've not been employed anywhere before. You can't ask for collateral from me. And now the Youth Livelihood Program comes in without all those other niceties in them. And it was a very simple one. Come in piles over 7 to 10 people, come in groups of 10 people, come and say, we are the youth of Alebtong, and we want to rear goats. We want to rear goats, or do this, or do carpentry, or do fishing, or do stuff like that. And because of that, give us money. And the monies that we're giving were between 12 million, I think, and maybe 25. And I'm thinking, we had an opportunity. What was it like in Alebtong, for example? Are there youth today in Alebtong? Because we talk about a project that started, I think, in 2013 or thereabout. Do we have any youth in Alebtong district who over the years can actually say, we are beneficiaries of that scheme of the Youth Livelihood Program? We are beneficiaries. I benefited from that project. We started as a group of 10, and now I am actually on my own. I am riding my boda. I am now putting up a shop here. I am now selling spare parts. Do we have them? Because we looked at a program that was brought for us to fit in as a youth, and now there is now the parish model. You go to Alebtong, and now you go to Alebtong parish. You go to Ndeba parish. You get my point? If we didn't fit in what was orchestrated and designed for us, how are we going to fit in this other broader one?
To answer your question, the Ministry of Gender definitely has a great pool of documentations of the success stories of the Youth Livelihood Fund program. But at a personal level, I know of a number of fellow young people who have actually accessed these funds. In Lira, in Alebtong, I have friends in Soroti who have accessed these funds, and they have really used it to try and improve on their standard of living. Yes, there are young people who have accessed these funds, and I believe a bigger picture, a bigger success story is properly documented by the Ministry of Gender.
Okay, that's very important. I'm just trying to find some messages here from some people who maybe getting through to us. I'm only getting some comments here from my producer trying to come to me about this. But of course, that's still very important. Right from that, there's a Goreti here watching. Goreti from Abuebaja. She's watching, but I think she's her message is one partly to thank you. The other is it doesn't seem to be very clear to me. But of course, here it is. Let's get back to leadership. We see leaders, of course, at different levels. Now we have a member of parliament representing the youth nationally, and of course the youth in different regions. Now, away from that member of parliament, we have a minister for youth affairs. Let's get to just one particular district, for example. In Alebtong, we have a youth member of parliament, we have a minister who is in charge of the whole country for the youth, we have a woman member of parliament, we have a constitutional member of parliament, we have a district chairperson. At the district, we also have youth leaders at the district. We cascade it up to the village. Even at the village where we have local council chairpersons, on that committee, we still have a youth. What is the chain of all these leaders doing to see that we can actually address our problems? Because to me, that's what I think. What I think it is. It's one thing to say, yes, the government is not helping the youth, the government is not employing us, the government is not doing all the things to us. But we have all this leadership that cascades down to us. Where are all these in the chain of ensuring that we solve a problem?
Thank you so much, my brother, for the question. And from the start, I of course told you that there are very many deliberate government efforts to try and help the young people. When you talk of the ministers that have come over time, they have done a great deal of job really to try and push forward the empowerment moves by the government. The youth leaders, the National Youth Council, they have all advocated for the young people, and they have been key stakeholders in overseeing the implementation of the previous projects, and even this new parish model. They have their unique roles that they're going to play. They have coordinated government interventions right from village level. So these leadership are not just there for decoration. They collect the concerns right from villages, right from parishes, and it trickles through the various youth structures we have up to the National Youth Secretariat. When it gets to National Youth Secretariat, they coordinate with the Ministry of Gender, through the Minister of Youth. And the concerns of the young people are always raised for address by the policymakers, for address by the executives. So yes, there have been, it is a chain of command that attempts to deliver on the promises.
Talk about the National Youth Council itself. Apart from the National Youth Council being used as a platform for Dennis and another person to get to parliament or positions of leadership elsewhere, how does it benefit the youth in this country, the National Youth Council itself? It's a constitutional, it's a statutory body in this country. How does it help the youth across board?
We have always talked of involvement of young people in decision making as being one of the great vehicles to try and deliver the promises made to the young people. I think the National Youth Council just does that. It involves the young people right from the villages up to the National Secretariat into decision making. When there are memoranda supposed to be presented for the young people, the consultations are made right from the villages up to the National Secretariat. And so they try to collect the concerns of the young people, and they try to help in tailoring these interventions for the young people. So I believe that the NYC, the National Youth Council, is doing its best to try and deliver. Recently, I've seen our good leadership is partnering with even NGOs to deliver for the young people, to do capacity building for them, sexual reproductive health rights, among others. So I think the National Youth Council is trying its best to really deliver on the promises to them.
Do all the youth know about the National Youth Council, or it's an elite club for you who have gone to school to study law and all the things? I am looking at Daniel in Alebtong. You come from Alebtong?
Yes, please.
I'm looking for a Daniel in Alebtong who is 19, 20, 21, 22. They've not gone to university. They've not been to Kampala or so. What do they know about the NYC?
Of course, I cannot authoritatively confirm whether every young person knows about the NYC. But you see, it happens in every democracy, even civic rights. Very many of our old people down there, they don't know everything about civic rights. So I believe with a constant engagement, talking, and then trying to expound on the achievements of the NYC and the purpose of the NYC, we are going to get there. I believe one day we shall have an entire elite youth population that knows and appreciates the values and then the works of the National Youth Council, which is, by the way, a very important body in as far as handling the youth concerns is concerned. Okay.
Yes. Well, that's very important. Now, you've acknowledged, just like I do acknowledge, that government has put up enough interventions to solve the youth problem in this country. What do you think would be a game changer for government? To actually say, we are doing this thing, and it will be a model that maybe the rest of Africa or the rest of the world will come to and say, Uganda solved the youth problem in this manner. What do you think needs to be done, away from the various and the different interventions that government has put up? Because government has put a lot of money into youth issues, youth affairs, and youth everything. But what do you think would come as a game changer and that magic bullet that government will do to solve the problem of the youth in this country?
Thank you so much, my brother, for that question. At a personal level, I really look at two things as being great game changers in handling the youth issues in our good country. And one of them is continued investment and improvement in agriculture. Because the excesses of our delegates, I mean, of our graduates, the excesses of the youth who are not employed in the formal sector, can then be absorbed in the agricultural sector, which is, by the way, still the strongest backbone of our economy. Then, secondly, is what we call digital skills. There is no doubt that we need to improve on the skills that we offer to fail young people. If we improve on these skills to meet the demands of the companies existing now, I believe that we're going to be able to employ a great number of fairly young people who shall fit the job market. And that would contribute a lot to helping us to handle the unemployment, which is the biggest youth crisis in this country.
Haven't we done that as a country? In as far as we are concerned, especially you talked about the digital skills now. We've built an IT, I think IT or ICT hub at Nakawa. We have the GCIC. We have quite a number of these interventions. The Ministry of ICT and National Guidance has given a lot of money at those innovators. We have quite a number of those innovators. We've seen them do lots of things. AIMS, which is a university app, very important. We've seen those doing stuff for health and quite a number of things. And we think, in as far as IT is concerned, yes, the government has really been there to help these innovators. Is that solving the problem? How much more do we need to do to see that it actually solves all the other problems? Because every youth now is into technology.
Yeah, well, there is no doubt that there is a visual government intervention in regards to innovations and digital skills. Just like development, development definitely takes time. Yes, government has shown intentions and actually walking the talk. I believe young people are continuing, like I told you, to appreciate this aspect of e-commerce, innovations, and then digital skills. There will definitely come a time within the course of our history as a country whereby very many young people will eventually be absorbed and involved in the aspect of e-commerce and digital skills. And at that point of time, that is when we shall have these issues of unemployment really being solved. It is already being done. Probably we can discuss whether very many young people are involved. I believe access to internet may still be a big challenge, especially with our rural young people. But as we move forward and then we widen access to the internet, I believe that digital skills, e-commerce is going to lead us to the money economy that we want as a country.
We have always castigated our education system, and we've talked so much about it. And looking at the number of people that graduate from universities annually, do we look at that as a detriment, as a disadvantage, as a demerit, or having so many graduates from the different universities across is of an advantage to the country and to the economy? Is it something that we should take pride in, or it is something that we should actually curse ourselves for?
Of course, one, we should take pride in the fact that very many young people are getting educated. But then what we should question is that do they come out with the relevant skills that can meet the demands of the companies? Because we have a lot of foreign direct investments in the country, which comes with specific skills that are required. I think we need to keep on encouraging our institutions to embrace the new skills really that can help us to produce more job makers and young people who are compatible with the demands of these companies. And I think with the intentional investments into quality education, especially in regards to skills and training, I believe that our country will be on the right track.
Are we moving into that direction, or we are only wishfully thinking that it should be that way?
Well, I am already seeing it really being done. Universities are embracing very new teaching and then training skills, imparting in very new areas of study. I think we have already started. I think as a country and where our stakeholders need to come in is they need to keep on encouraging these institutions and also encouraging the young people. You know, it also comes with a mindset change. If the people whom you are planning for are not ready to embrace, that's also another big problem altogether. So as we advocate for improving our institutions, we also need to continue talking to the young people to embrace the changes that this new century really comes with. And with such collaborated interventions, there can be no limit to what we can achieve as young people.
Are youth funds that government normally puts up, are they necessary, or we think it should be a different thing to do as opposed to putting up funds? Would we go in for funds, or we think we should go in for some other thing that we think will develop us as youth in this country?
The youth fund is really necessary.
Very necessary.
Very necessary. It's even more necessary when we make it easier for the young people to access. So I still believe the youth funds are really very necessary, and it can really deliver.
Isn't it a contradiction? Because we talk about the funds, but again, we assume we do not have the skills. So what happens when we have the funds and we do not have the skills on the other hand? Aren't we contradicting our own selves?
That is why, and that's why I thank so much the thinkers of the parish model. You see, I will always take us back to parish model because for some reasons I believe it tries to address all these questions that we're having. Yes, there can be concerns with the skills, but now when we are having funds taken to the parish level and the young people are deciding on what best they can do, then that means that the fund is going to achieve its intended purpose, as opposed to probably having put the fund at the central level and then forcing the young people to organize themselves in a specific area and then funding them in something that probably they may not like, but for the sake of money, they would want to go in. So I believe creating the youth fund, which we have in form of parish model, and allowing the young people to employ it at what best they can do, can help us to navigate for now as we try and work on the skills that we may need to push us further.
Okay. Well, our time is much spent, Ndugu Daniel Obal, and I just want to thank you so much. But finally, before I let you go, what specific message do you have for the youth in this country, and what clarion call would you give out to them that they should remember you for?
All I can say, first of all, I want to thank so much our very good president for the various interventions he has deliberately made over time to try and improve on our standards of living and livelihoods as young people. Of course, not forgetting the wonderful work that is being done by the Ministry of Gender and then the National Youth Council. They are doing a commendable job to get us there. And to fellow young people out there, the one mistake that we'll ever make as a generation is to lose faith and focus in ourselves. The challenges that we are facing in Uganda is not any unique. These challenges are even faced by first world countries. But from friends whom I've interacted with, it's about making up your mind and deciding where you want to be and what you want to do. And as young people, our focus should be on how to make ourselves job makers and not necessarily job seekers. When we intentionally make ourselves job makers by engaging in the little things that we can do, we are going to get there. And of course, as we commemorate the International Youth Day under the topic of food security, I want to continue urging the young people that let's not forget that when all this is said and done, at the end of the day, our homes still need to eat. We need to secure our stomach first. And the best way we can do this is to engage in agriculture, to try and produce enough food basket for the country. So as we commemorate the Youth Day, I request us to do so with peace and reflect on the journey that our country has made since the early 1986 when His Excellency the President came. Uganda was in disarray, but here we are. We have moved steps higher, and by the grace of God, we are going to get there.
Okay. Well, I thank you so much. International Youth Day is on the 12th.
Yes, please.
That's sometime next week?
No, just this week.
It's just this week. Today.
After
oh,
tomorrow.
yes, after today is 10th. Oh,
yeah, it's after tomorrow.
Oh, it's just after tomorrow.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I think about the Zambian elections because I think the Zambian elections also coming on the day after tomorrow. My head had run to Lusaka, Zambia. Well, thank you so much, Daniel Obal here, a youth advocate. For having allowed us here and of course for sharing with us your thoughts on the youth question in this country. Thank you so much, and of course to the youth out there, remember that being a youth is actually not it's not a career, it's not a permanent position. You are a youth today, you are an adult tomorrow, and so whatever we do and whichever way we go, we need to also think about where next to get. But remember, COVID is still with us. As we've always emphasized, let's mask up as much as we can. Let's sanitize, wash our hands with water and soap, and try to maintain a social distance. Now, remember, many sectors are back into working and doing much of the things. But don't look at it as a president's affair, a minister's affair, or any other person's affair. It's about your life and it's about you. Desist from just going with the bandwagon. If the rest in a taxi do not want to put on masks, please don't get into the taxi. Find a better means to use and make sure that you keep yourself safe and the people that you stay with. COVID is still with us, but let's continue fighting it and see where it gets us. My name is Jagan Asemakola Ziksoka. Wishing all the best and thanking you so much for being with us on Good Morning Uganda Extra today for God and my country as we continue inspiring Uganda. Blessings and good morning. Thank you.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra. Pick of the day on UBC, brought to you by
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Century Points when you deposit, send and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and